Welcome to the Brewtiful Game. As always, I am Blake here with Ferris.
Hola.
And Riggedy Ron. And on tonight's episode of the Brewtiful Game, we'll be discussing the fact that I was about to explode after 3 cups of coffee watching the Arsenal-Liverpool match. And then we're going to burn it all down alert as Ron's Chelsea bring back a club legend again to manage the inferno that is Chelsea's football club. Ron, please say hello, because we had a technical difficulty and restarted, and I forgot to let you say hello.
I was sitting here going, you didn't even let Ron say hello. You mean host, you. Like, come on. Like, his beloved Blues are down in the dumps, and you don't even let the man say hi?
Well, what's weird, we edited this out. He started crying.
That's fair.
So we're giving him a chance to say hello now.
I'm just thankful that your internet crapped out on you so that the world couldn't hear it.
Exactly. Burn it all down. And then we're going to break up the EPL a little bit so that the man of his blues, the gladiator of the gammon, will attack our earbuds with a bit of beer news on this edition of Ron's Beer News. And lastly, we'll then go over all the rest of the results in the Premier League this past weekend. But first, our beer, gentlemen. All right, dudes. Do you guys have one together?
We have the same beer, and I think we should probably go first because it is a Burn It All Down Inferno related.
Oh, excellent.
So a few weeks back, I went to a local brewery in town, one of my favorites, one of my top 3s, Tactical Brewing, which we've had on the pod before. And I was sitting there and I was having a beer and I was having some Cholo dogs, and I had just got done with a big storm shift, working a Magic game. And I saw this beer down at the bottom, and I was like, "What the heck is that?" It's a style that I always try to get at a brewery because it's kind of rare, but then it had a twist to it. So it's an ESB, an extra special bitter with smoked hops.
Ooh,
which is quite interesting, and it's called Hatchback Inferno. And when I got the beer, it came in the can. I said, "Okay, can I?" Or he poured it out of the can, and what wasn't on draft. And I said, "Can I see that can real quick?" Because I was like, I think I saw something on that can. Sure enough, so it's this black and red can, and we'll certainly get it up on all the socials when the episode drops. But is for the hatchback, they have my old car of a Veloster, a black Veloster on it with flames billowing out of the front of the car. And I said, "Is that a Veloster?" And the bartender goes, "Yeah." He goes, our guy that does our can art used to have one. And one day he was driving into work, came in, got into work, and we're like, "Why are you so late?" He started to curse and stuff. And he goes, my Veloster caught on fire. Like under the hood, it just caught on fire. And I just started laughing because I had a lot of car issues with mine towards the end there. It was an awesome car. I love the car, but towards the end, before I got the car that I have now, I was having some issues. Mine never caught on fire, but I just thought it was hysterical. A great name for a beer. The can art is absolutely superb. It's it's only 4.8%. So we're going to have it out of a 16-ounce can. When you go to their site, their site's a little bit bare bones, if you will, but it's not bad. It just gives you what the beers are on tap, not all the beers they've had ever, because they do a crap ton of beers. What I would suggest is heading over to their Facebook and Instagram, where they post all of their beers. They do can drops weekly. It's awesome. So this
fire, make a cool beer about it.
Exactly. So this beer is an ESB with smoked hops, as I said. It's actually smoked whole cone Willamette hops. And it released early in January, which I completely missed this post for some weird. I don't know why, because I always see all theirs. But on their Insta post that they had about it, they had said that. Oh, I just had it up, so give me just a second here. The smoked hops were provided by a local hop company called Dash of Smoke, Florida. And they do DM for orders on smoked hops, smoked spices, and smoked jelly. So they use their hops in this ESB with the twist of smoke whole cone Wilmot hops.
If you find that company and find some smoked jellies, pass them on along.
I will
What's
send you
the name of it again?
They are at on Instagram. You can find them at Dash of Smoke FL.
How have Ron and I never heard of that?
I don't know, but it's pretty awesome that and Tactical does a lot of stuff with the community. Like they just had a faux show that worked with a local Vietnamese restaurant or store in the area that they do. So they always use ingredients and things as such in their beers and name their beers out of a lot of things that occur within the greater Orlando area. Just an awesome brewery, great beers. They always try something different. And one of the things that I love about them, and some of you out there may know this too, is when you go to a brewery and you order, whatever, a double chocolate banana imperial stout, right? Sometimes you get that and you get it and you're like, I taste the chocolate. Don't taste the banana and taste a crap ton of booze, right? Which is not the intention of what that should be, right? One of the things I love about them and a few other breweries in the area is when you get this style of beer, whatever style it is, you taste exactly what that style says it is and how it's described, and that to me that tells me that they are taking such an effort to do something with such precision and they want to try different things. Let's toss this in there and let's do that in there, but let's make sure that that's taste. Let's make sure that that is actually what the person on the other side actually has with it. So when we have this, because I did have it there, you get the ESB and you get the smoked hops. It's great. Great brewery. Tactical Brewing Company in Orlando, Florida.
So the exact opposite of Butternut Brewing that has a Red Sniper IPA farm ale, which it's none of the things that it describes.
Couldn't be further from that. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, all their beers are farmhouse ales, and none of them taste like what they're supposed to.
Right.
At least the Cookie Puss beer had the good, great to actually taste like Cookie Puss and beer. Not that that's a good combo, but
right. Fair enough.
All that lactose.
Hey, we still got to find the Fudgy the Whale one, though.
Yes, we do.
My beer, I went to a familiar brewery as well. I went to my favorite, my German beer house, because I knew since Arsenal would be at Liverpool, they would be in their black and gold. So I got their black and gold can of their Schwarz beer.
I love a good Schwarz beer.
And just in case you're newer to the show or to the beers, just as a quick reminder, because we talked about this brewery, cool German brewery in Knoxville, but the Schwarz beer, it's a dark lager originated in Germany, opaque black color, hints of chocolate, coffee flavors, around 5% ABV, which this one I think is 4.8. And they're made using cool fermentation, which classes them as lager, but though historically warm fermentation was used. And they get their dark color from the use of particularly dark malts or roast malt from extract in the brewing. And that in turn gets its color during the roasting procedure. So it kind of bounces between bitter and slightly sweet, but it's not as heavy as it's like more refreshing than I think a stout is, I really dig a good Schwarz beer.
Oh,
I agree.
They're quite tasty.
All right. No explosion this time.
Thankfully.
Mine smells good. Nice and roasty.
This pours
amazing.
It pours a bit dark for your standard ESB, and it's got a pretty good head on it. Lots of carbonation. Has a good quite a good scent to it. A little bit of that bittery smoke smell.
Yeah, but Blake, this is the weirdest thing, and I got it, a lot while I was there, but I get it right now. It you'll know, but it reminds me of certain aspects of walking around at HHN, where you get some of those smoke smells from time to time and stuff.
Yeah, this one is like as I expect, everything I've had from Schultz Brau has been a very traditional German, like a good example of the style. But I did miss this from theirs, as dark as the Black Forest. A fable among beers, our Schwarzbier is a traditional German-style lager crafted by adding dark roasted malts to the otherwise light grain profile like you would in a lager. In spite of its color, this black beer maintains a smooth drinkability while offering a toasty depth of flavor. And of course, the Schwarzbier is all brewed to the what's the
Reinheitsgebot.
There you go. The German beer purity law. That means no chemicals or preservatives, just quality ingredients. Man, and this one is flipping good. Super drinkable.
All right.
It's 4 packs.
This one's got a bunch of, you can really tell the smoke in this is, it's a very ashy smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we both kind of have smoky beers here.
Cheers.
Sancha.
Cheers.
Sancha.
Oh, I'm happy with the smoke content in this beer.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when you get a smoke beer, you taste that smoke and it's kind of overpowering.
Just lingers
throughout. Yeah. And it also adds that smoke taste can add to bitterness but not in a good way. This one, that smoke kind of lingers, but it's not overpowering. So
then you get that. I'm sorry. For me, you get that ESB taste at towards the end there.
Yeah. Do you remember Blake and we went to a friend's house when we were first learning to smoke food.
Oh God.
And we tasted this food that was so heavy on the smoke flavor that all the food, it doesn't matter what it was so bitter.
And it all had a tremendous amount of black char on it.
Yeah.
Like it was so gross. I don't know that and his homebrew beer. I don't know why Ron and I pursued either after this experience. Either one of us started smoking food and making beers is insane because it was not a good thing. It was not a good experience at all.
Yeah, I think the reason we continued on was because we thought, well, ours has to be better than this.
Fair enough,
right?
Right. It can't be like this. And the next morning you're like, I don't know what the grumbly tumbly is. If it's that beer with chunks just floating through it, or that super. I was like, smoked food is this black, huh? I didn't know that.
Oh, it was so bitter. Oh God,
it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough, dudes. All right, gentlemen, shall we move on to the Sacher? First up, Arsenal v Liverpool. Yesterday, we were treated to an Easter Day classic as top of the table Arsenal and 8th place Liverpool play out a thrilling 2-2 draw at Anfield. To paraphrase Arteta, I'm sure this was a great game for everyone else who wasn't me. 2 goals within 30 minutes from the league leaders, courtesy of Martinelli, and no other than on the holiday than Jesus put the Gunners ahead in what looked like a rout. What was that tweet I shared with you guys?
You can't foul Jesus on Easter.
No.
Or because I think he got fouled and he was like laying on for the goal. He jumped up to head the ball in, and it was like he rose. Jesus rose well or something to that extent.
Yeah, he rose up on that. He rose up on that cross. Like, yeah,
exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
Rose up on the cross.
Yeah, he won Twitter that day. However, 3 minutes before halftime, who other than Egyptian God himself, Mohamed Salah, gets one back from the break. The second half was pretty much one-way traffic as Liverpool pushed for the equalizer, and they finally got it in the 87th minute from Bobby Firmino. 4 goals, shuffles, a missed pen, Rob Holding's hair flowing, and a slew of outstanding saves from Aaron Ramsdale to help secure a draw for Arsenal were what we all needed on the day. That game was like, woo!
Where has that second half of Liverpool been all season?
And why in the second half, right? Because we go back to their rout of Man United in the second half, which they haven't won a game since then. Like they've barely even scored since then. It was in the second half, right? All 6 of their 7 goals that day came in the second half. Yeah. And their goals came in the second half of this. Now they were playing better in the first half, but what was interesting here is when we say that goal that Salah scored right before half is, and I think I said it when it occurred at the time because I saw it almost instantly, and then you saw at halftime Tim Howard I think hit on it, but there was a scuffle between Xhaka and Kuante or Kunate, the Liverpool center back. It was something like that. It was a scuffle on the sideline that seemed to spark the Liverpool crowd behind them and just kind of give Liverpool energy. And for that last 4 or 5 minutes in the first half, ended up being like 9 because of the added time to some stuff. That's how Liverpool got the goal. And that goal was so huge because if they got one before half, they're in the game. And that's exactly what occurred. And they came out in the second half and just pushed and pushed and pushed.
Yeah, I just don't. It's incredible that they've been so inconsistent. The spark is still there. You see it every now and then, but why isn't that more common how they're playing?
Yeah, like why they need to wait till some switch gets flipped and then they decide to make it happen. Because let's be real, that first half was. Well, it could have been Leicester Arsenal were playing for a good chunk of that. Like,
yeah, I would say up until about the 40th or so, or the 38th minute, whenever that scuffle occurred, it looked like Arsenal were going to put 3 past and then just win easily.
You know, it's funny. I was sitting there watching it and I went, oh, no, I don't like this. I don't like this. We're now holding on to the ball. Don't do prevent yet. Don't do prevent yet. Because we started playing a lot of possession, like after that second goal. And I understand the tactic on paper, but it's Liverpool and they have too many people that can score. I was like, get a third, get a third. You need to get a third. And then it wasn't long after that the Xhaka yellow happened with Trent Alexander-Arnold. And then like, the goal comes in like, see, man, we let off the get because we were on a roll. I just, it's tough, right? Yeah,
that was in the 41st minute. Sorry.
In retrospect, to look back at it and say, you should have not parked the bus. But Liverpool's just not a club I think you can do that on. If you are playing Leicester, which is how I felt like they were playing, just kind of limp and ineffectual, sure, save your players and whatever. But man, get I felt like to me, you're playing Liverpool as a club that like you want 3 because right now they have no defense. When they win games, it's 3-2. Those are their goal lines.
And what's the most dangerous lead to have in the game?
2-zip.
2-0.
2-zip. Third is demoralizing. 2-0 is like, we can still do this, gents.
Right?
Like,
yeah.
Exactly.
And let's face it, going to Anfield to win a game. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Anfield. I don't know why I said Anvil. Going there to win, that's a tough task.
Well, Arsenal had done it in what, like 13 games or something, dating back several years. Like they've gotten smoked the past few years. So you're like all of a sudden, well, wow, this is a different Arsenal team. They're up 2-0 within 30 minutes, and it looks like they're just dominating. And then that 41-second scuffle there where Xhaka got a little hot-headed after he had basically put in kind of a late challenge, not anything bad, but just a late bump on Trent Alexander-Arnold, who turned around and shoved him, and then Xhaka immediately turned around and got in his face. So then it was a little bit there, but that's what kind of just seemed to spark Liverpool just a bit. Like the crowd got into it more. Everything got into it a little bit more, and that just drove them forward.
Yeah. It was quiet until then. My favorite takeaway tweet, I think it was Gunnerbog, was like, it was a game we should have won and we could have lost. So I guess a draw is fine. Like I was like, yeah, it's actually how that feels when the dust all sort of settled.
And you guys got a draw by the heroics and goal of Aaron Ramsdale. 2 absolute quality game saving, point saving, whatever you want to call it, saves in extra time that were quality. One on Mo Salah, who tried to curl it in the left corner.
Yeah,
and then
full
the other
stretch.
Yeah, and then the other well, and real quick with that one.
That's actually three clutch saves by Ramsdale because
he had one earlier on Darwin Núñez.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So 4 because there's Núñez, there's the full stretch. Then there is that one where he's falling backwards and bats the ball backwards.
Yep, that was the one.
Right.
Yep,
and
off
then
the goal line.
There's the one with who tried to chest it into the goal instead of going for a header on the Liverpool side. And
I think that
Ramsdale
was the one where he was on the ground, right?
No, he was up. It was near post.
Oh, yes.
Very dying end.
His positioning in this game was, and was awesome. And he got chipped from the midfield line in the Europa League of a few weeks back. But in terms of this, his positioning was great on that shot from Salah. Watch that again. Salah, near perfect shot, curling it up there. 9 times out of 10 on most goalies that goes in. You watch what Ramsdale does. He stays on the ground, moves his feet before he then precisely times his jump to get to dive for it and gets his fingertips on it. If he doesn't do that, he's not getting his fingertips on it.
Yeah.
He's getting nothing on the ball. And then to be so well positioned on that corner where that ball bounced around and was, looked like it was going to go across the goal, and he's laying essentially on the goal line. And then,
Yeah.
So
he's going backwards too, which is crazy. He's going into the net and manages to push the ball
exactly
before it even gets to the line.
So, because Liverpool were looking like it was going to be 3-2 and they were going to come back. But, that's just a hell of a match.
It should have been 3-2 because Salah whiffed that penalty.
Oh, that's his second in a row, right?
Yeah. Like that penalty came out, I went, here we go. And then I
just wide.
Yeah.
A Rob Holding pen. I loved it. When he was in the game, I was like, why is he in the game? And look at those locks. His hair looks like, you remember, was the Norwich player Todd Cantwell with like the blonde locks and just the whatchamacallit, not the visor, the headband on that kind of has the flowy out the back. God, his hair looked brilliant.
Very Jamie Tart.
Yes, very Jamie Tartish. Good call.
It was also we'll wrap this up, but it was also the first time I think any of us have just absentmindedly said, "Man, it's good refereeing in this match." Because it's very rare that we've complimented that, but he kind of let them play and then only called the, you know what I mean? Like
I think that's
it
fair.
was
Absolutely
a game, but he let it happen. I think Ferris, you're the one who sent that text.
it was either me or Tony sent it. In our kind of chats? But yeah, no, that's right. And we can't say that about some other games in the Premier League this weekend, but for this one on the biggest stage, absolutely it was.
It was huge. Before we leave, though, we should talk about the refereeing because there is one problem. And that's one of the refs tried to elbow.
Yeah. Not tried, did.
Oh, did he actually make contact? I mean, it was soft, but who cares? Like, I looked soft. I couldn't. To be fair.
I've been listening to a lot of different podcasts because I was really curious about what people were going to say. A lot of, on the NBC circuit, Tim Howard and Robbie Earl essentially, just crucified that guy on Easter and basically said, he should be sacked. And then there's a bunch of other podcasts that are not going to either side's defense. And they're basically saying, we want to know what was said because there's some interesting circumstances in the fact that the Liverpool player walked about 30 yards at that whistle to go get that ref.
And was getting ready to put his hand on the ref's arm to kind of say, hey, stop here. And the ref beat him to it and just threw a bow.
So there are some of the, soccer loving podcasts that are saying because he went to remonstrate to the ref may have been trying to just shrug him off. And because he is the referee who,
he's pretty
that
big
guy
dude.
is tall and beefy.
Yeah.
And Robertson is shorter.
Like a normal size, essentially.
Shorter than that guy. It was easy for that and possibly could be an accident, but the ref afterward did not behave in such a way of sorry. Right.
No,
so most of the people think the jury's still out on what was actually being said at the time. And because in this weird day and age where we have a million cameras shooting 4K, for some reason, we couldn't get a clear shot of that. And so when they blow it up, it gets all pixelated and you can't see kind of the body language of the player.
They get the worst camera in the damn place.
That pixelated view is good enough to call a toe offsides, though. So why isn't it good enough?
Well, but I think they got that from like an in-house stadium cam. I don't think they got that from any of like the broadcast cameras. I mean, I could be wrong.
I think my statement is still valid.
Fair,
yeah.
My question,
yeah.
You know, the other question came up, and I think Ron and I we're chatting about it. I'm like, okay, so Mitrovic gets 8 games for pushing a ref. Ref elbows a player and will probably get sacked. Why doesn't Mitrovic get sacked?
I think the ref has to get sacked because he can't prove impartiality. Like so that'll hang over. It's just I think it's not good for the ref.
I'm not saying I disagree with that, but you know, does something like if the PGMLO came out and said where you're going to sit him down for the remainder of the year, he's going to go through training and therapy and yada yada yada, and he's good to come back next season. Is everybody okay with that?
That'd be great, and I'd like it even more if they found out what he said. It said, "What's his nuts?" Gets a 3-game suspension as well, or something. You know?
Yeah,
what
I mean, I think it really depends on the intent coming from the player in this respect. If he's going over there, kind of like Ferris said, to just kind of put his hand gently on him and go, hey, wait a second. That's one thing. But if he was over there, you know, being much louder or cursing or, you know, going, are you blind? Or things like that. Not that the contact is justified, but there's a little more reason why the ref might be like, hey, get off me. Right. So I really want to know what each party said. Yeah. And I think that will really further fill in the cracks. Because right now it's very much he could have been doing this or he could have been doing that.
It looked as though the ref was walking to the head ref as they do, and they stand together. In the process of that, he caught out of the corner of his eye that that Andy Robertson from his left back position beelined for him. The ref's probably thinking, oh, here we go again. They're going to have another Mitrovic situation, something like that. So if he comes over here and tries to touch me, I'm going to, you know, say,
just get off me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hell with you. And that's, you know, what occurred. But you're right. We don't know what was said. We don't know if the ref was actually touched first. That does not give him the okay to elbow somebody. You know, there's a lot there, and we'll see what the PGMLO kind of decides with that ref. You know, it's curious if they will contact the club and find out, you know, let's get the full story here, which I'm assuming that they will.
Better. That is that they're going to have a full investigation.
But will that result in him losing his job and Robertson getting a 1-game ban?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, who knows? Yep.
It'll be interesting to find out. Also, because if you look at his conduct throughout the match to the head ref, it wasn't the most gentle and nice throughout. So,
no,
you know.
And one last thing before we move on from this game, sorry. Ron and I watched the NBC Peacock data zone or whatever it is, which is like the camera is in a big box on the screen, but then all around the outside you have stats that continually pop up, like total passes, pressures, most accurate passes, passes from the back, through balls. You just have all of these stats in your top 3, and it pops the player's name up, whoever has the ball, and then goes away and pops it up for the other. When a shot goes in, it gives you the speed of the ball and how far away it was. It has like a very FIFA game tactical map down there that shows the dots, and they're moving around as they move around. It's interesting. It's you know, I enjoyed it. I don't know if I can watch it with every game, but if you get a chance on Peacock, and they might only be doing it for some of the big games, turn that on and just give yourself a watch. Pretty good.
The other cool thing about that is that they have apparently they have their own commentary group that's doing it because they actively talk about the stats that are popping up on the screen when they pop up. So
that's cool.
So instead of like there just being a lull in conversation, they whip it back to, Odegaard has had so many pressures on the ball. He's leading Arsenal with that, and the stat is right there. It was pretty interesting. Like Ferris said, I don't think I could watch it for every match, but I think clutch times in certain matches, it's quite fun.
It's educational too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I did not give that a try this go round. Well, here we go. I don't have a good sound cue for this, but I wish I did. Burn it all down at Chelsea Football Club. Super Frankie Lampard returned to the club last week again, to take over his beloved Chelsea as caretaker manager until the end of the season. On Saturday, however, his return to the dugout away to Wolves was spoiled as a thunderstrike from Matheus Nunes was the difference as Chelsea lost again 1-0 to Wolves. With that loss, Chelsea on 39 points and are now closer to 20th place, Southampton at 23, than they are to 4th place, Manchester United on 56 points. I mean, the only thing that makes the story ending better is that Mourinho comes back again.
God, I was so hoping for it. Like Diego Costa was actually on the field for Wolves. If Mourinho was on the other side of the pit, that would have been brilliant.
Oh my God.
I don't understand what is happening.
That's surprising.
I would be all about trusting the process if there was a process. But oh my God, I just don't get it. So you bring back Lampard, and granted, he has 3 days before he's got to go into a match. Yeah, so he's not really going to do very much.
You sacked him not more than 2 years ago for getting you down to the place where you currently are.
Yeah, and he almost relegated Everton.
Yes. You don't have Richarlison on your team. If you did, you'd stay up, but you don't.
So a lot's happened since we've podcasted last, right?
Yeah,
so
true.
they lose to Aston Villa, 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, the weight of, everything going on, they decide
Don't you think that's actually a perfect one in the sense of they got a new manager too, but you can see a change at Aston Villa.
Yeah, I mean, Unai Emery has really brought them, skyrocketing up the table to where they are currently from almost from a circling the drain of relegation area, right?
I feel like that's why that's the one that shuffled Potter on off.
So then Potter leaves, but there's some question as to whether he left or he was sacked.
Or as you like to say,
conscious uncoupled.
Thank you.
I think since Chelsea's paying the money, he got sacked.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're not walking away. I'm getting every dime from you no matter. Yeah.
Yeah, but Potter's
just
different.
say, can we throw that money down? Chelsea cost him $21 million to buy out Graham Potter's contract from Brighton and $60 million to can him. It's $81
so they're
million.
in Potter for $80 million.
19 shy. Plus salary, 19 million shy of Mudrik's crazy 10-year, 30-year contract.
And he has an 11-year contract. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he's only scored once. There's so much conflicting actions in this whole thing. Potter's our guy. We're going to stick with him. We know there's a problem. There's a problem. He's canned. So, okay, you got to make a change. But why I think the only reason you can Potter is because you are afraid you're going to get relegated. Now, are you truly that afraid?
Yeah.
That you're going to get relegated because you're going to bring in a manager for the last 8 or 9 matches who's not going to do much better. Right? So you had Salter for 1 match. And that was a disaster. So you decide that he's not going to be your interim coach for the last now 8 or 9 matches, you're going to bring in Super Frankie Lampard. And the only thing I can think of is you're bringing him in to appease the base, your base fans. But
it's weird because it's not like you brought. It's not like before when you brought him in, or like when you brought in, we bring in Oli, or I mean, I don't. It's not. You're bringing him like he's already failed.
right.
Like he's already been sacked after we brought him in the first time for getting you down to around this same place, and almost took Everton down. Yes,
Right.
he, I guess in theory, kept them up, but it went down to what, the last 2 games.
Yeah.
And Richarlison's like standing on his head to get some big goals. And he got sacked from Everton from the start they had this year.
Right.
So the man's been sacked 2 or 3 times in 2 years, and you bring him in till the end of the year. Does he get sacked before the end of the year?
And what do you expect him to do?
Exactly.
Right? It doesn't matter. Let's say it wasn't Super Frankie Lampard. Let's say it was anybody else. You could bring in Zidane. You could bring in Ancelotti. You could bring in the coach from Brighton that they tried to just steal again, which, oh my God, I don't know what they have about Brighton, but what did you expect any manager to do?
Because you're not, if the goal was to get into, as we just said, the goal was to get into the top 4. They are closer. Before this game they weren't, but it was only by like a point or two. That tells you how much it changes. They were so far away from the top 4 that you're not going to gain that kind of points, especially when you're working with teams like Newcastle United, Tottenham, who are getting wins and consistently staying up there in the 3rd and 4th place. You're closer to the bottom. You're not going down. That would take,
Monumental effort.
And there are way too many bad teams, worse than the $900 million squad of Chelsea. So to your point, what was the point to bring him in? Was it just to maybe stabilize it and show these boys a little bit of Chelsea culture and kind of ground everyone and go, hey, here's how we have to play. I love this club. You have to love this club. Here's why you love this club. Here's why you play for the badge and not yourself. Because that's the only thing that I can think of is that Bowley went, let's bring Jordan in to coach the Bulls. Like he has to have some sort of insight to being with this team. So let's just bring him back and see what he can do with these guys that we just assembled because we just threw out cash everywhere.
So the only 2 things I can think of for bringing Lampard back. 1, Champions League.
If Frankie Lampard wins the damn Champions League with
that's
Chelsea,
true. They're still in it.
that would be, because you know why that'd be hysterical? He'd get the full-time job again and then be in the same boat.
And then get
6 months.
sacked next October.
Right.
Abso-friggin-lutely.
Right. So Champions League, because it's clear that Potter was not going to be able to keep us.
And you guys got Real Madrid, by the way.
Right. So it's not likely. I mean, Real Madrid is arguably the most clinical side on the planet currently. Right.
I am rooting so hard for Frankie.
Oh my God, I want Chelsea to beat Madrid. I want him to go all the way. I want him to beat Man City again in the final and Frankie to hold up that thing and be redemption. And then fast forward 4 months and October 1st, he's the first sacked. Absolutely.
And then the only other thing. Oh, sorry.
No more trophies once you get Pochettino. That's what happens next. So yeah, I got
no.
out.
I will have serious problems if they bring in the cursed Pochettino. But the only other thing that I think might be good for the team is Lampard's ability to mentor young talent. Mason Mount got his start under Lampard. Reece James got his start under Lampard. And both of those players are outstanding players, right? So he is good at cultivating the younger talent. But the question I have is, what is he going to cultivate in the short amount of time that he's got?
I mean, he's just literally going to go get a paycheck and drink some beers at Frankie's hot dog joint that Ferris found around.
No, it was actually a quality looking bar. It's actually attached. Like it was actually like kind of a sleek looking bar. But you know,
that's what's going to. He's going to go party in London for a little bit. I mean, I would take that. I mean, I'm sure I just don't. because these articles that are coming out now with what the players and stuff have been saying about how like there wasn't enough room to dress in the locker room.
Yeah. So they
We're
could
sitting
dress out
down
in the
because there's
hall.
so many players. And now we've cracked jokes and said things about, gosh, how many people are going to hire? But now it's like, oh, actually, it sounds like an absolute disaster behind the scenes. And now that is not Graham Potter. That is ownership.
Well, right. And that's exactly what I was going to say. Because to your point, as all of that was coming out that they had to dress in locker rooms or whatnot, then a headline came out that was like, they're looking to bring Frank, Lampard back. And you're like, oh, ha, ha, ha. That's funny. That's real funny. And then you're like, oh, the Athletic put that out. The Athletic's usually not wrong. Oh, crap. They're going to bring back Franklin. There's no way they're going to do it. And then sure enough, come Saturday, he's sitting there on the bench.
He was at the Villa game.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And literally, pundits across the world looked in their cameras and just threw their papers in there and were like, why not? Sure.
No. I disagree with you. They held on to their papers and went, that's more content for us.
Well, fair enough.
Because
I loved the NBC's like, what's your over under of that a brilliant move or absolutely mad? Like that was
fair.
I mean, it's probably both of those things at the exact same time. It's absolutely brilliant if they stay in Champions League. If they finish,
if they win the damn thing,
if they finish lower than 11th, it's a disaster. Well, I mean, it's a disaster anyway, but it's a more horrible disaster.
If they win it again, I will go back to Stamford Bridge and get you another scarf of the Champions League. If Frank Lampard wins it again,
if they win Champions League, I'm going back.
Fair enough.
But this goes all the way back to, and I don't know it sounds like a personality thing to me, but now it's more and more like, why did you fire Thomas Tuchel? And it is absolutely clear to me from the outside looking in that you've got a narcissistic, rich bozo that now owns this club. And it had to do with that more than it had to do with anything in reality on the pitch. That Thomas Tuchel was like, hey, I was told I had a say. And I guarantee you that blew up. And that's where that whole contention between the two of them happened. Because Potter's saying, oh, yeah, no, I was in on all these signings and stuff. And then it starts coming out. Nah, it's not really. Not really. They were just.
There's no way. There's no way. He couldn't have been on the choices for team sheets and squads for Champions League and the Premier League. It's clear that the management, not the manager, was making specific calls and telling him what to do and when. Allegedly, a really cool article came out from The Athletic that basically said the reason that Tuchel gets canned is because Bowley wants to bring in CR7. And Tuchel's like, do not do that. There's a whole host of problems that come with it.
That was going on around that time where a lot of talk that he'd be going to Chelsea.
So allegedly, his point got across to the board. Tuchel's point got across to the board, not to Bowley. But then the board and Bowley decide to can him, but they still don't.
That would make sense.
Go after CR7.
That would make sense.
And who was right? I mean, look at what happened at Man United. Like
Tuchel was right on.
He was absolutely right. What a joke, man. So, man, I mean, Chelsea's in trouble for the next 5 years with this dude.
Yeah.
What he needs to realize is
he doesn't know what he's doing.
Well, yes.
All those chants.
When you break it down to it,
you
hire people that do. Spend your money that way. Hire people that know how to build a team, that know how to build a club,
and
know how to
then
build a lasting club,
them.
And listen to them. You finance them, right? One of the things, and if you guys have been following Welcome to Wrexham and their season this year so far, they just had a huge win today against Notts County, 3-2, and a save at the end, yada, yada, yada. But you watch that show, and one of the things that you do realize is why they have their hands in a lot of what it is and want to really build this team. They've hired some really good people that can do it.
Yep.
And yes, they're a part of these, things as such, but they're like, who are we going to try to buy? Wait, is this guy any good? Wait, what? How much is he? Are you serious? Wait, what? How much is this? Like, it's more of we're financing it. We'll use our clout, if you will, the aviation gin and TikTok and yada, yada, yada. And we'll use all of that. But people that actually know how to build a team, you guys are going to be the one in charge.
Yeah.
And you, yes, keep us informed, and we can make those final yes or no. And if we're going to release 10 million pounds for Super Paul Mullins or whatever, but other than that, you're not bringing in your players who you want, that you found on FIFA because you thought they were good, or CR7 because he's one of the best ever and he just wants out of United and yada, yada, yada. So hire people that know how to do this, that have been in the league, that have been over there. Learn from them, but don't interject yourself and just say, here, I'm just going to spend all of this cash bringing all of these players because a scout here once said they were good, or a scout there once said they were good, or Arsenal's about to buy this guy, so let's just go over the top and buy him. Like that's not how you build a team. United were doing that for a long time as well. This is very United. We were buying Lukaku and Ibra and Ollie, Pogba, and all these players, but what did they fit into? What kind of system? And who was leading them?
No, that Mudryk situation is like a perfect example of clearly Arsenal wanted Mudryk, but they also had a backup plan. And when that didn't happen, they snatched Trossard immediately. And the reason they're sitting where they are still, he has saved some of the games he's been in and been the reason they score. So all of a sudden losing out to Mudryk means nothing. But look, it could go either way, right? You never know. You get a player. It could be a flop for you, but they had a plan. You know what I'm saying? Oh, no, we lost Mudryk. Well, we got a signing immediately. Oh, okay. Well, Chelsea, I know I'm just repeating Ron from previous pods, but like, it's beyond the, man, I can't even see a plan here. No, for real. It feels like what you said, Bowley's sitting there playing FIFA and like, let's get this dude. Let's do that. Hey, I saw a tweet that this person, he looked really awesome the way he kicked the ball. Let's fight. Let's get that guy. It has nothing to do with any reality of actually running a football club, let alone one of the biggest ones in the world.
It's just astonishing. I still don't understand. My prediction came true that Potter left Brighton for a bit of a payday and a bigger club and ended up worse the wear for it.
Yeah.
Right. I called that the day they were talking about signing him. Now you bring in Lampard. You're probably going to lose out of Champions League in this leg now against and especially if they play the way they played against Wolves. There won't even need to be a second
Real
match.
Madrid's a bit different than Wolves.
Right? Like Vinicius Jr. is going to put a hat trick through. Benzema's going to put 40 through. Like,
but Ferris, you know football. It's exactly like
100%,
Chelsea will win that game.
Yeah, exactly.
The first leg, they'll get like a 1-0 win and then just hold the fort in Madrid, and they'll sneak out of it, and the aggregate will be 1-0, and it'll just be a glorious win for Lampard.
Some BS like go to PKs in the second leg or something. I mean, like, absolutely, dude. Absolutely.
And then the other thing that's coming, the light at the end of the tunnel is a train. It is not the end of the friggin' tunnel, because what are you going to do in the summer? You have got to fix your wage bill, your financial fair play. If you don't make Champions League next year, your financial fair play is screwed. You've got to clean up over $400 million.
You need to deplete assets. You can't bring in any more assets. You have to deplete.
You have to sell off $400 million worth of players to be in the financial fair play regs for the Premier League only next year, assuming we lose out.
And right now, you aren't playing. None of these players are playing well enough. And N'Golo Kante, I guess that's someone you could sell for money.
But to have him back may help a lot.
I think if you're going to keep somebody, he's the one that you keep, because a midfield of him and Enzo is actually something I'm looking forward to. The rest of it, I'm not.
Who are you going to sell and make all that money? I don't know how they're going to get that.
They were talking Mount could go, Pulisic could go.
Pulisic, in my opinion, Pulisic should go.
He's gone.
Yeah.
They want to keep with a Riga Balaga, then you could do Mendy.
You got to clear $400 million in financial fair play wage bill crap. That's a lot.
I mean, yeah, I no clue. And you get Lukaku back next year.
Ooh, gotta
Oh
love
my
that.
God, I forgot about that. Oh my
He's only on
gosh.
loan to Inter.
Yeah. And we're still on the hook for his salary while he's on loan. That's how bad we wanted to get rid of him. What a boneheaded deal that was. It's just, I seriously think that the top four Chelsea as we know it is gone for the foreseeable future.
I think you got a couple of years, man. Welcome to the Arsenal rut. Here it comes. You got a few years. I feel like, because I don't even think Mourinho would come back at this point.
No.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, that the sanctions only increase their chances if they fail to qualify for Champions League, which unless they win, they are not going to. So like, wow, those numbers are crazy
It's
to look
staggering.
at. So now it's not only just from a football point of view, this guy doesn't know what he's doing, but that's also like a business. Like, these are the rules that exist. Is no one, or is he not listening to anyone that could tell him these things?
Well, in the beginning, there was no one there. We didn't have a sporting director.
Well,
We didn't have any of that.
oh man.
So we're screwed for the foreseeable future.
Wow. I don't think I had put those. I hadn't looked up a lot of that, the financial fair play stuff regarding Chelsea. That's rough.
Thanks.
And that's why I'll tell you what now, if I were Frankie to close it out, what do you got to lose? Seriously, just it's literally on fire. Financial fair play is around the corner. Let's just go have some fun in London, have some beers and play some games, man. Have at.
Nothing to lose for him at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't
Yeah.
handle it.
Yeah. He'll just get hired by someone that's desperate. He'll be Leicester's manager next year. So that's what will happen. Shall we move on to the Sausage King, the purveyor of the pork roll?
Yeah. Pork
We'll
roll.
move on to Ron's beer news. Dun, 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 dun.
All right. I need to do something fun, so I made a quiz. Little game show for you gents.
Where's our game show music? Do we have it in? Do we have game show music on there?
We got to come up with something. We don't have anything good.
I think we have. I think we have to have something.
No, I'm going to have the stuff that's preloaded in the
Scroll over.
broadcaster. It's not good.
No. Yeah, we don't have anything fun. Oh well.
Work on that.
All right.
We do need some good game show music.
All right. 10 questions. The person who gets the most right. 1 point per. Off we go. Are you ready? Blake, this is your question first. Well, never mind. I'm not going person by person. You each get a guess. The Guinness World Record holder for the largest collection of beer labels has how many different labels in it? A, 12,455. B, 55,092. C, 104,000. D, 548,000.
D5.
So Blake says C and
D. D is in dog.
Ferris gets it. 548,000 beer labels. Hendrik Tommen of Germany.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Oh, Henrik. He smokes a mean sausage on his grill too, just so you know, Henrik. Good guy to hang out with.
All right. Question 2. National Beer Day is celebrated on April 7th, the day the Cullen-Harrison Act was signed into law reversing prohibition. Is that true or false? Ferris first.
That has to be true.
Blake.
I don't remember seeing anything about National Beer Day on April 7th. I want to say it's true. It sounds right.
You both get a point.
Yeah. Well done, Blake.
2-1. 2-1 to Ferris. Question 3. The first light beer invented and served was Michelob Ultra. Is that true or false? Blake first.
Wait, the first light beer brewed and served was Michelob Ultra?
True or false?
This sounds like a trick question because Michelob Ultra is a very new beer, which makes you think at some point back in the day, they made a light beer called Michelob Ultra that didn't stick around. And then when they made their new ultralight beer,
Rebranded it.
oh, wait, say it again so I know which one's true, which one's false.
The first light beer invented and served was Michelob Ultra. Is that true or false?
I'm going to go swing for the fence and say true. It's so weird. Why? Because it sounds too easy. I feel like you're trying to trick us.
I know. I'm the same thought, Blake, but I'll go opposite. I'll go false because I don't think it is.
Oh, Ferris with the clutch point.
Yeah.
That was a
first calorie reduced or light beer was called Gablinger's Diet Beer in 1964,
I got that in my fridge right now.
done by a Swiss chemist in Basel, Switzerland. All right.
All right. I'm called foul. That's kind of BS. That one was like so
trick
easy.
question,
It
yeah.
seemed-
Hey, you got to love it. Question 4. Which university is thought to have invented beer pong? Harvard, University of Michigan, Dartmouth, or Yale?
Dartmouth.
Ferris.
dang it. All right. I was going to say Dartmouth as well.
Final answers?
Yale.
Oh, Blake changes to Yale. Ferris?
I'm keeping Dartmouth.
Dartmouth it is. Man, he's trouncing you. 4-1. All right.
Be Liverpool, Blake. Be Liverpool. He's got to come back.
Reach through the camera and give me a good smack.
That's
and
right.
I'm back at him.
What is the most popular style of beer in the world? Blake first. It's these options: lager, wheat, porter, pale ale.
I'm going to guess it's lager. Followed by pale ale?
I'm going to go pale ale.
Blake with the point.
Oh, the
Lager.
lagers.
Yep. All right.
I just cracked it. ESB, which is not on that list.
Question 6. What is the official beer of the NFL? Miller Lite, Coors Light, Bud Light, Corona. Ferris.
Bless it.
Oh man, the problem is I read commercials for a couple of different ones because it's floated around in the last
Say the
decade.
options again.
Miller Lite, Coors Light, Bud Light, Corona.
Coors Light.
Blake.
Bud Light.
Blake with the point.
It was
Bud
Coors
Light.
at one point though,
It
right?
was, right? Like,
Yeah.
didn't I
Relatively
remember
recent.
seeing a taste of something on the Rockies and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, and the
can
whole
turns blue.
cold
and then,
Cold brew.
yeah,
and-
something like that. Blake's making the comeback right now.
Yep, 3-4. Here we go. All right, this is the history nerd in me loves this question. In the early days of beer brewing, beer was almost exclusively brewed by women. Is this true or is this false, Blake?
I think it might be true.
I agree with Blake. I think it's true.
And I think it might be true because of something Ferris and I learned when we did that brewery, that Castle Church.
Castle Church. Yeah. I think you're right.
Brewery
I think you're right.
And
yeah.
Martin Luther, the brewery recipes
Yeah.
came from his wife.
His
who
wife.
was-
yeah.
She was a nun
Mhm.
prior to Reformation. Yeah.
You both get a point. It is
Okay.
Done.
absolutely true. Women's involvement in brewing beer has been documented back 4,000 years ago into Mesopotamia. The Sumerians even had a goddess for beer whose name was Ninkasi. And historically, women were involved in the brewing process as it was seen as a domestic task.
Ferris, by the way,
Mhm.
Coors Light NFL beer 2002 to 2010. That's why it was in our
I
brains.
missed it by a whole freaking decade.
Only
but I
13
mean,
years.
yeah, but you mentioned that's 13 years.
It was a long time, yeah, but I don't like.
Years watching the NFL and
Yeah,
you see that,
I know.
you know.
Yep. All right, question
And that was
8.
back in the day before we could fast forward through them commercials, so we had to watch.
Oh, yeah. Question 8. Which country is the largest producer of beer?
We've had this question before, haven't we?
It is Germany, China, Italy, Ireland. Blake.
I think it's China now.
Ferris.
Germany.
Blake with the point.
Yeah,
China.
I knew that was we've had that question before.
Yes, you have.
Well, I think Ron brought it up in his travel
In something, yeah, he did.
Yeah. It is currently tied, gentlemen.
On the last question,
5-5. No, you got 2 more.
2 more. Okay.
Okay, here we go. In some countries, McDonald's sells beer. Is this true or is this false?
Oh, that's true.
Blake?
It's true.
Yep.
It's true.
True.
Oh, neck and neck on the last one.
Last question, gentlemen. What brand of beer is known to be the strongest with a 67.5% ABV? Is it a Budweiser beer, a Snake Venom beer, a Guinness beer, or a Dogfish Head beer? Blake.
The highest alcohol content. You said Budweiser, Dogfish, Guinness, and what?
Snake Venom. They're the ones that they have so many weird different beers. And
It's a hard one. Last one.
I'm going to say it's Guinness. In an effort to break a Guinness World Record, they did a weird one-off beer.
Gotcha. Ferris.
I'll go Snake Venom.
Oh, clutch. Ferris wins. Snake Venom.
I remember. Give me applause here. give me applause here.
Where's the applause button?
Should be on there.
Where is it really on there?
Does Blake have it? I don't know.
There it is.
There it is. Thank you. I'd like to thank all of the many years of keg stands and getting drunk in college to help me learn this today. I'd like to thank my fellow podcasters here for their belief and desire to help me win this. Oddly enough, when you said Snake Venom, I remember being somewhere at some point and somebody having a bottle of something that had like a dead snake in it. And it was, I don't think it was one of the beers, but I was like, what the hell is that? And they explained something about it having the highest alcohol content. It's technically a beer. I just somehow remember that randomly. But
yeah, we've talked about Snake Venom before on the podcast. Good job, gentlemen. That was a close
That was
one.
a good one.
that was a good one.
Came down to the last
Right
question.
to the wire.
A little bit
PKs,
of,
if you will.
a little good job, Ferris.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we can move on. There's our beer news.
Well done.
All right,
well done.
fair.
I just needed something happy to
Yeah.
move on to.
Something happy before we go into the rest of this of the Premier League here. I will Ferris, punch it, Chewy.
Cool. Goals from McTominay and Martial helped Man United beat Everton 2-0 at Old Trafford to kick off the weekend in an early game. United are one hell of a home side. They haven't lost at home since the first day of the opening, or since the opening match of of the year there. Kind of a run of the mill
At home.
At home, correct.
But you guys, because it's been a little bit since we've potted.
We haven't been on the best run.
No, but not only that, have you seen the whole financial fair play investigation and the Premier League allegation that could put them into administration? No, you would not. Oh, if you thought things were bad for Everton, gents, it's really bad right now.
Oh, for Everton. I thought about you. I thought you were talking about United.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I haven't seen that headline.
I thought you were talking about United as
Yeah,
well.
for Everton, yes. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. That is a.
That could be bad.
Oof.
They might already be going down, but they could have a points deduction after that too.
What's crazy is, even if they did all this cheating, they still suck.
I know, exactly.
So your cheating came to nothing.
Right?
And it's almost not even like they cheated. It's more like they just didn't make money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Interesting.
Whoa.
Aston Villa move up to 6th place in the league as they once again win, this time beating Nottingham Forest 2-0. Villa are up to 6. We talked about it earlier in the pod about how Emery's just rejuvenated that team, and they're unbeaten in their last 5 from what I can see, with 4 wins in a row. They got Newcastle next, so that'll be tough. But what a job Emery's doing there at Villa.
Ollie Watkins is on fire.
Oh, absolutely he is. He scored in 8 of his last 10 or something. It's wild.
It'll be cool to see if Villa and Brighton can hold on to this. Oh, holy crap. We've got 2 new contenders rolling into the subsequent season as well.
Absolutely. West Ham get skipped ahead there. Newcastle United grind out a comeback win in the second half against Brentford as they win 2-1 at the G-Tech Stadium in London. Tale of two halves. Newcastle came out and put up some goals early on in that one, and just held the fort and got a big win away from home. And they've also been on a really good run since losing the Chupacabra Cup. They've been winning, and they've won at least the last 5 in a row. So they're on a really good run. Now on to West Ham. West Ham United get a much-needed 3 points as an unfortunate own goal by Fulham's Harrison Reed results in a 1-0 win at the Cottage for the Hammers.
I felt so bad for him.
Yeah,
he didn't.
You can't do anything.
It just bounced right off him.
Yeah,
I just felt bad.
Yeah, he was trying to defend a cross coming in because one of the West Ham players went to the byline and was quite deep on the byline, so to try to play it back across to like the spot, and he was just trying to defend it, and it just took the wrong bounce off of him, and it's can't do anything about that. It thinks that had to be the only goal, but West Ham held on. They needed that one. That took them essentially up to 14th place, but without that win, they could either be in 17th or 18th place. So like that's a big 3 points for West Ham. And I think they're going to probably stay up. I think there's just 3 worst teams out there, and a few we'll get to here in a bit. But yeah. Speaking of worst teams, Leicester City get beat 1-0 as Bournemouth win their 3rd and 5 and just beat a rudderless, managerless Leicester City at the King Power. Yeah. They were doing the whole dual assistant managers to head coach this one. However, just today it was announced that the former Aston Villa manager, Dean Smith, will take charge of the club until the end of the season. This, however, comes after yesterday's news that Jesse Marsch turned down the position over the weekend.
Yeah,
what does that say, man?
He's turned down,
2 now.
2, yeah, essentially Southampton and
3
and Leicester.
3 because he also turned down the U.S. men's national team.
I don't think he's come out and said he hasn't wanted to do that. So.
Yeah. So I mean, if they were going to offer it, he's basically putting that down. So I wonder what his plan for the future is going to be.
I think for him, he's probably making a good call, but like you got to kind of hit while the iron's hot. But do you want to take the 2 worst teams in the league in charge and take them down, and then blame could be put on you because you didn't get them out of that when you were brought in to try to?
It's true,
and now
but
you're playing in the championship.
But your stock isn't that high to begin with, so it's not like big teams are coming to get you as a manager.
But it's high enough for you to be considered for both of those jobs after getting sacked by Leeds.
But look at like Crystal Palace. They have a temporary manager now, interim, through the end of the season and stuff. There are clubs above them, that I could see that he could go for without hooking himself to Leicester or Southampton. Is this it, guys? Is this our bottom 3? I know Everton's still tied on points, but I mean, it's starting to feel like that.
Could be. Which would be Southampton and Leicester would be big losses to the league, and that would be interesting. In that, I don't think it is. I think at least 2 of those clubs survive. I couldn't tell you which 2, but at least 2 survive.
So you think Everton or Leeds go? Because I feel like that's who.
I don't. But then again, I don't know who's going to go into it because you have essentially 14th down, and you could even wrap Wolves into that, but probably mainly 14th down. So you have West Ham, Bournemouth, Leeds, Everton, Nottingham Forest, Leicester City, and Southampton. All of them are in contention to go down. Like that one win by West Ham took them up from what I think they were either in 18th or 17th place to 14th place. And they could lose and go right back down because Nottingham Forest pull off a win next week
with 8 games left in the season.
So I don't know.
There's still a lot of room for this bottom to shift around because it's so close.
Yep. Moving on to a little bit higher up the table. Tottenham get a contentious 2-1 win over Brighton as multiple penalty shouts and a PGMOL apology afterwards once again shines the light on refereeing in England.
Totally robbed. Brighton got robbed.
100%. Like they had 2 handball shouts that should have been reviewed and called, but the main one came just before the goal that Harry Kane scored in what was like the 79th or 80th, somewhere in that range. There was a foul on, I think it was Minamino or somebody in the box with Hoiberg, who ended up assisting the Harry Kane goal, which ended up being the winning goal, but didn't get ball, stomped out, like not stomped out, but like reached out, got nothing but leg and quick VAR review and no pen. And you're going,
Yeah.
The commentator on it, whoever it was on Peacock, was absolutely beside himself. Like it's as bang on pen as it can be, and how not only the ref missed it, who was pretty much looking at it, and then you can kind of see how he might missed it and think maybe he didn't get a touch, but then how the VAR doesn't say, hey, go have another look at the very least, is mind boggling to me.
Yeah. And they lost a goal called back for handball that was
exactly. That was
definitely not handball.
Right. So this is the PGMLO's third apology of the season. They apologized to Brighton for that miscall. How many, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame. Like, how many times is this going to occur where...
What's the third one, right? It was an Arsenal one, right? And
the second one was, I think.
Yeah.
What was the
against
first
Brighton,
one?
actually, I think. Right? Wasn't it? No, it was against Brentford. And I don't remember what the first apology was. Oh, first apology was earlier in the year. I just don't remember who the teams were.
It's just, what's the point of VAR?
Yeah. Your sail face, your
Fail safe.
Your fail safe is failing, and it's failed 3 times this year. If you're coming out with an apology to a club that could have been 2-1 to Brighton, this game could have had completely different
And all the ones that
implications.
have not been apologized for.
Right.
Right. Like I this year I am very excited to go. You know how they put out that yearly review if the calls were made correctly, what the table would look like at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see that this year because I feel like this year we have had more screwed up calls and VAR screw ups than we have had in any previous season.
100%. And
this one is huge. Not that any of them aren't, but Brighton is in that spot to get or not into Europe.
well,
This is a huge money implication. On
had
this
it been 2-1 the other way, which it probably at least could have been, and they could have held on to a 2-1 lead had they got that pen. Assumed the pen was made, of course, and assume they win. They've been on 49 points. Tottenham on 50 points. They would have been above Villa in 6th, and Tottenham would have still been in 5th. But that's how. Now it's a 6-point gap. I'm sorry. Now it's a 7-point gap.
Yeah.
That's 3 games now that they have to catch up to even get into 5th, into a place for Europe. So that's huge implications.
And they have, throughout the season, they have definitely deserved it more than Tottenham.
100%. Fire through the last 2 quickly. Man City leave it in the second half and then make it easy work of Southampton as they win 4-1 down on the South Coast. Erling Haaland with 2. Jack Grealish is playing extremely well
On
right
fire.
now. A few different goals. This win was huge, and Arsenal's draw was huge on Sunday because, assuming that both Arsenal and City win out, or they win out and say City beat Arsenal when Arsenal come to the City ground, it's in Man City's hands as they have the goal difference right now. So all the talk was, well, it's in Arsenal's hands. Well, the rhetoric kind of shifted on Sunday afternoon that now it's a 6-point gap, better goal difference. So if City beat Arsenal and everybody wins out, odds are City's going to win on goal difference. So April's a huge month. The last 8-9 games here are going to be quite interesting. And City do have a game in hand too. And then lastly, the final match on the early match on Easter Sunday treated us to a good old Uncle Roy Hodgson. Yes, he's back as well.
Can we have him at Chelsea?
Oh my gosh, you needed him. 70-year-old Roy Hodgson. His second half masterclass as Crystal Palace side blew the game wide open with 4 goals in 24 minutes to hand Leeds United a 5-1 loss at home.
That was a fun game to watch.
Uncle Roy's won 2 in a row. He's up to 12th on 33 points. They're not even in like the relegation talk right now at all.
Yep.
Good for him.
Ugh,
A lot of Premier League stuff. We're on the business end of the season and a lot going on.
true that. Let's end this thing so I don't have to talk about Chelsea anymore.
Yeah, you know what I forgot, with the Chelsea stuff, we didn't talk about because we didn't do the pod, right? We didn't do a pod after Conte melted down, did he? Did we?
No, we did not.
So you still have the Spurs. I was just trying to think of who Chelsea was going to hire as a manager. I was like, oh my God, Spurs still need a manager.
Yep.
Wait, speaking of that, before we wrap Premier League, I found a thing I just want to, it was just a great little graphic or photo of like all the managers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Graham Potter, Chelsea, Brendan Rodgers, Leicester, Antonio Conte, Tottenham, Patrick Vieira, Crystal Palace, Nathan Jones, Southampton, Jesse Marsh, Leeds, Frank Lampard, Everton, Hassan Hoodle over at Southampton, Steven Gerrard, Aston Villa, Mr. Bruno at the Wolves, Thomas Tuchel at Chelsea, and Scott Parker at Bournemouth. How we got Chelsea on here?
Potter's made like
it's ridiculous.
Potter's made like the 13 of the season, which set a new Premier League record for sackings in one season.
Yeah.
And did you guys see that graphic I sent you when Potter got fired? I wrote, I sent you guys a graphic that said Klopp in his tenure has been there for 10 Chelsea managers.
Yeah. Wild.
So in Klopp's time at Liverpool, he has faced 10 different managers at Chelsea.
Wild.
And because of his injuries in this season, N'Golo Kante has played either started or was on the bench for three different managers.
Yep.
Wow.
That's all he's played. Like that is so bonkers. And I move that next year we do not do for our predictions. We do not predict who is the first to get fired. Let's predict the over-unders of how many get fired
from Chelsea alone.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. This is going to be knock on, right? There's no way you go through 13 and then next year you don't at least have 8 or 10. You know what I'm saying? Like it's too many new people going out there again.
Yeah.
You're going to see a big number.
It just shows you how like funny the game was, right? Right? Like for the past few years, Arsenal and United have gone through all this turmoil and multiple managers and players, and Ron's winning Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues, and Jose's coming back and yada, yada, yada. Now there's actually stability at Arsenal. There's seeming stability at United. And Chelsea, like, it's just weird how the power shift, just absolutely just kind of, not just the power shift, but just how everything just kind of can change so quick and over a short period of time. Wild.
The question is, does the city stay? Does Man City stay stable, or does Pep?
As soon as Pep's gone, I think no. I mean, I think that's the end, right?
But if they win the Champions League, does he?
He's gone.
To where? To where? Where does he go?
I think he retires. He's over it. He's been over it.
He might. U.S. men's national team. Here he comes.
Oh God,
he would
beautiful.
Never. He would never.
But real quick, yes or no answer. No more than that, because we're out of time. If Man City does not win the league and does not win Champions League, is it a failed season?
Oh, 100%. From City?
Yeah, Man City.
100%.
I mean, I think with the investment they have, yes. It's a yes, but I think it's a qualifying yes.
I just think it's a yes.
100% it's a yes.
You brought Haaland in specifically because you need somebody to help you win Champions League.
Yeah.
Right? Man City did not have any problem scoring goals last year without Haaland.
And how neither of you picked him as your golden boot this year is beyond me.
You never know how a new guy's going to do in the Premier League. It can go.
Have you watched Haaland before? you had De Bruyne passing him the ball, who's the fastest player in the Premier League to 100 assists. Give me a break.
That's real easy for you to say, hindsight wise.
You know what? You know who he's not though.
Zlatan.
He's not Zlatan or Zava. That's a familiar character on Ted Lasso, isn't it?
Oh,
interesting.
God, he is so good at playing that.
I love it.
Oh,
love it.
In this last episode, when he should have gotten the ball, and he just walks up to Jamie Tart, puts his hands like at his crotch, and he's like, "For Zava." Oh God, that was beautiful.
And you could hear Zava saying this, as well as Zlatan did actually say this when a reporter asked, "What superpowers would you like to possess?" Zlatan said, "I already have them all."
Oh man. All right, we got to get rid of this.
You done with your burn it down pod?
No, because I'm sure I'm gonna have it some next week. I'm just kind of.
Ron's Burn It Down pod has a lot less curse words than yours or mine there, Blake.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I was much more quiet letting you guys talk.
You know what'd be awesome?
Than Blake, who just basically said, "You all shut up, I'm talking."
You know what'd be awesome? Frank Lampard wins the Champions League, and the next year you guys buy Diego Dalot from United, and he's your starting right back.
No. I can't say we'll never do it because clearly it's possible. Ferris, if you write Bowley an email that say Dalot's amazing, he'll probably buy it.
Right.
Oh, just put out a tweet that says Arsenal's looking at Dalot.
100%.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do.
Oh.
Did I tell you guys I finally got to go to the Knoxville Zoo?
No.
Yeah, we had a good time. We took the whole family to the Knoxville Zoo.
Here it comes.
After the kiddo, she wanted to see the lions, but all they had was like toast in the cage instead of lions. And I asked why, and they said it's bred in captivity.
Not one of your better ones.
That's a good one.
Oh, and it's like grainy on the screen too, so you can barely. It's just the joke knew that it should have cut you off the internet a while ago. Oh.
It's golden. It's golden. All right, gents. Well, let's see here. Our beer mentions the pod. I had the Schwarzbrau Black Lager, the Schwartz beer from Schwarzbrau. What did you have?
Hatchback Inferno from Tactical Brewing, and ESB was smoked topped at 4.8%.
Quite a tasty one.
Agreed.
Quite a tasty one.
And then, as always, check us out on the Twitter, the socials, wherever, Facebook's, all that jazz. We have a Tumblr. We don't use it, but it exists. If you could tell your friends and family all about us, share the pod. And then if you give us a review, however you listen to us, Apple Podcasts, what have you. And if you take a screen grab of that and zap it to us, we'll get you a koozie or something fun out in the mail.
Dan Brook, I am so sorry, my friend. I messed something up. I will get stuff out to you. That was on me. I apologize.
Dan Brook, I haven't met you yet. You sound like an upstanding gentleman, and I'm sorry that Ferris has let you down.
He's a fellow Manchester United fan, so.
Oh, never mind.
Exactly.
Okay.
I figured as much.
All right, gents. A pleasure. Good to see you guys again.
You too, buddy.
Love the beer. Cherish the game. The Brewtiful Game.
Oh, the process.